Hello everyone, I'm Sandy Anastasi, psychic channel, intuitive astrologer, and soul coach. And I'm here with my monthly editorial video blog, and I want to thank you so much for stopping by because I've got some pretty important stuff on my mind today, and I'm so pleased to be able to share it with you. You see, I've been doing some deep thinking, and I've been getting a lot of very big, what I call downloads from my guides about a very, very important subject. The subject is empathy. Specifically, I've been getting deep insights about how much absolute havoc this particular psychic ability that we all have is currently creating in our society. In fact, it's creating that havoc all over the world. It amazes me that only now, when empathy is creating so many enormous problems, are psychologists and other scientists beginning finally to explore it as a human attribute that we all have and that we all need to recognize and that we all need to learn to handle. We psychics have always known how important empathy and its sister ability, telepathy, is. Now it's time for everyone to recognize that these abilities are shared by every human being. We all have these abilities. Frankly, our empathy is out of control right now as a race of beings. That's why my last few psychic development tips have been about recognizing and controlling empathy. It's important for you to accept that you have empathy and that you need to learn to control it, or guess what? It will control you. Have you ever listened to a friend complaining and felt almost compelled to take action to fix their problem? Have you ever listened to a newscast that left you in a foul or even an angry mood for the rest of the day? Have you ever followed a thread on your favorite social network and found yourself getting all worked up about something that didn't even interest you before you began reading? Have you felt the need to run out and buy a product after watching a commercial that sucked you in so completely that you just knew you couldn't do without it? These are just a few examples of receptive empathy. Empathy, which is the ability to feel the emotions of others as if they were your own. It comes in both a receptive and a generative form. Most people are naturally receptive empaths. We receiving empaths are particularly vulnerable to the hard sell that grabs our emotions. I have clients that donate thousands of dollars a year to animal rescue and children's hospital charities while they struggle to put food on their own families' tables. The most warm and caring voice on the commercial gets the most attention from the receptive empaths watching it. The more graphic the photographs of the little children or the animals are, the more difficult it is for that receptive empath to look away, to do the math that says, not this month, I can't afford this. Those people are falling under the spell of marketers who understand all too well how to play on people's receptive empathy nerve. But this issue doesn't just stop with television commercials. We all have some family member or some friend who knows how to zoom in on the most caring and receptive people when they need something. Even though we know that they're a user who doesn't pay their debts, we still have trouble saying no to their artful and emotional expressions of need. Note, I am not talking about people who almost never ask for anything and finally come to you for help after trying every possible other avenue, and they're honestly desperate. You see, that is where we should be using our empathy. Those people need our help. As a matter of fact, once we learn to really use our receptive empathy as a tool, we immediately know the difference between those people who are just complaining to get from us whatever they can, and the people who really need it. And we will never again feel guilt about saying no to those who might seek to use us. Receptive empaths are frequently used and even used up. The reason this problem of empathy has become one of such major importance, though, is that the uncontrolled and unconscionable use of projective empathy is suckering in the world's receptive empaths by the millions. Yes, you fall certainly into that category. Projective empathy is used by marketers who put together the tear-jerker commercials that you can't say no to. Their job is not to make sure the charity's real, but to get people to donate. And they know how to play on the emotions of receptive empaths. And we receptive empaths give and give and give and give and give and give until there is simply nothing left of us to give. Far worse than those marketers are the newscasters who are actually selected for their positions based upon their appearance, their voice quality, their magnetism, their ability to move an audience. Receptive empaths are primarily receptive to sound vibration. Remember that, it's important. Receptive empaths are sensitive to the quality and the meter of someone's voice, even the music and the sounds of news clips that are chosen for a program. Secondly, receptive empaths are sensitive to visuals. That's you. Of course, all receptive empaths are moved by the actual magnetic attraction of the newscaster as well. Most of these positions are held by people who are both generative and receptive empaths. They do both. They are able to read what their audience's mood is via their receptive empathy, and they're able to lead their audience using their projective, generative empathy. Scary, isn't it? When you begin to see today's newscasters and even many politicians in this light, after a few shocked breaths, you also begin to see how completely you, and indeed all of us, are being manipulated by people who are wielding a power far greater than they themselves understand. Is it any wonder why a young, emotionally receptive, empathic person listening to newscasters bully and berate a certain group of people for months might take sides and decide to act out what's being suggested? Or that this same empathically receptive person should choose to follow a charismatic, projective empath who leads a terrorist group? Now you see what has been causing me this deep introspection, folks. We can all see this happening in our world on every level, from family to community to nations. The world is in an uproar of finger-pointing and bullying, with the generative empaths gleefully doing the button pushing and the receptive empaths thoughtlessly following and carrying out whatever their emotions of the moment lead them to do. Sanity will not return until all of us, and that does mean you, becomes self-responsible. We all need to always take full responsibility for our own actions. So you have to slow down, my friends. You have to think about your actions before you take them. You need to ask yourself, are you about to do what you really want to do? Or are you reacting to a friend's or a family member's, a group leader's, a newscaster's, a politician's, some other person's button pushing? Take the time to research what you hear. Take a breath before you act. Look for proof. Seeing is believing. Learn to think for yourself. And most importantly, understand that your empathy, your ability to feel what another person is feeling, is not intended to subvert you into that other person's way of looking at things. It is a tool for you to help you to better understand that person. That's all it is. When you use your empathy in that way to better understand someone, it becomes a wonderful tool that helps you to get along better with other people, not go to war with them. I'm Sandy Anastasi, and I want to thank you very much for staying to the end of this blog and listening. And I dearly hope you give it some thought and you sincerely and seriously take action to fix this problem in your own self. Thank you. Meanwhile, visit me online at www.sandyanastasi.com. Goodbye.